Hello and welcome back to TCG Inform. So then the last video I showed off the deck profile for Mitsurugi Adignista, and today will be the guide. As always, 3 advantages, 3 disadvantages, a sample combo and some finishing notes at the end. So without further ado, let's get right into this. So the advantages with this deck, advantage number 1. Since you are using 2 different engines, aka you're using the Mitsu engine and you're using the Cyburst/Atignista engine, you can use interruption, one of them, if you have both of the engines in hand, as interruption fodder. For example, if I were to have, let's say, Signet Mining, a Habakiri, and let's just say 2 extra cards in hand, for example, maybe another Mitsurugi or something. If I were to go Signet Mining, discard a card, then my opponent went Ash, I can then Habakiri, which is then guaranteed to go through, and I will then get some stuff out of their hand since that Ash may be used on the Signet Mining if they decide to do so. So yeah, you can use one of the engines as an interruption, and then the other one as the mainline engine to go into stuff if you would like to. Advantage number 2. This deck's end board is not actually too bad. It can build a pretty mean end board of. I'll show sort of a demo with only the cyber stuff. Stuff like an Allied Code Talker Adignista plus a Dark Templar Adignista, for example. Or you might have to go into like an access code, or you can use the Mitsu stuff to make an IP and an SP if you would like to. But I don't know if you can do that. No, you can do that, so yeah. And advantage number 3. This deck's pretty linear. I think its combo is pretty linear. It's alright. It works pretty well. Both of the decks are pretty easy to get a grasp of from this build specifically, I think. Other builds might be easier. I don't know. But I think this is a pretty simple build to learn. Now, onto our disadvantages. Disadvantage number 1. If you want to get the full end board that I'm going to show in the sample combo for this video, you need to activate the Mitsurugi end board part of the end board first before you do the Cybursts. This is because a core part of the Cyburst combo is Splash Mage, which says you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Cyburst monsters. And Mitsurugis are reptiles. So you cannot go the Cyburst part of the combo into the Mitsurugi part. That is not possible. Sorry for being too close to that. Disadvantage number 2. You are pretty weak going second. This is, I think, obvious for most decks in this meta nowadays. You're pretty weak going second because if you're going second, it's more likely your opponent to put up a negate spam board with something like Rolad, or maybe someone's playing Cool Tune or something like that. You've got a negate board on the field and you can't do much about it. You could add in to the side deck board breaking tools like Lava Golem, and then switch out your Cyburst engine for some going second tools. Like you can add Lava Golems, because you're not really normaling with Mitsu. So if your opponent's playing something which is going to make a big end board, and they're going to go first because they lost the first game somehow, you can just get rid of the 10 cards that is your Adignista engine in the main deck into the side deck and add a bunch of board breaking tools, break your opponent's board, then activate Habakiri or a Mitsu card in hand like Habakiri, Prayers, or a pre-prep to search this and mirror, and you basically got it. And you basically have probably got a good amount of a win there. But that is the only real way to stop the going second, really on the draw bad part of this deck, sort of. And disadvantage number 3, your extra deck for generics is pretty, I don't think it's too tight, but it's pretty weird. Out of 15, you have like 9 slots for generic cards, but those have also been filled with stuff like IP, which can just be used since it's a Cybus. But you're mostly locked into stuff. These ones which I use, if I use the Cybus combo, are unavailable to me. But compared to this, I don't think it's much of a disadvantage, but it's still a disadvantage in general. If you wanted to play a sort of Fiendsmith engine with this deck, you can't play Fiendsmith with this deck. Otherwise, there's not much. So yeah, that's our advantages and disadvantages. Sorry if they were a bit weak this time around. This was a pretty weird deck to research since most of these decks use the Malice engine, and I don't like using Malice in a Mitsurugi Atignista deck. It's not Mitsurugi Atignista Malice. So that it was really tough to research stuff for this deck. So let's get into our sample combo. So for our sample combo today, the cards we will be adding automatically to our hand are going to be Achichi Atignista and Ame no Habakiri no Mitsurugi for our full combo. So for this combo, we are first going to do the whole Mitsu engine part, activate Habakiri, revealing itself, summon out Saji and tribute to Saji, Saji effect, searching ritual effect, summoning out Habakiri by sending away Night Sword Serpent and Kusanagi, summon out Habakiri, effect of CL1 Night Sword, CL2 Kusanagi. Serpent summons itself and Kusanagi adds back the ritual from our grave. Activate the ritual, tributing our Habakiri, summon from the deck Murakumo, effect of Habakiri, summon itself and add a Mitsu card from our deck to our hand, which will be the Mitsurugi Great Purification. And now we've done the Mitsu part of the combo, we can now head in to our other part of the combo. We will first normal summon Achichi Atignista. We will activate Achichi's effect to add a Atignista monster from our deck to my hand, adding backup Atignista. We will then link off Achichi into the Link 1 Lingaribo. Lingaribo is just used as a Link 1. We activate backup Atignista in our hand, summoning ourselves because there is a Cyburst monster that was special summoned this turn. We use backup effect, searching Wizard Atignista. We then link off our Lingaribo and backup, going into Splash Mage. We then go Splash Mage effect, summon back a Cyburst from our graveyard. We'll summon back our Achichi. We'll then link off Splash Mage and Achichi, going into Dark Templar at Ignista. We will then use the effect of our Wizard Atignista in our hand, summoning itself and one Atignista monster from our graveyard. We'll summon our Achichi again. And then we will go link off Dark Templar, Wizard, and Achichi. Sorry if this was fast. And Achichi. Going into Link 5, Allied Code Talker at Ignista. An Allied Code Talker at Ignista, when it is Link summoned, will summon as many Cyburst monsters with 2,300 attack from our grave as possible, but negate their effects. So the only one we can summon is our Dark Templar to our board. And then from here, we can then link off our Night Sword Serpent and our Habakiri into a IP Masquerena, and we will pass the turn on that. So from this position, and set our Great Purification, and then this is the end of that. So from this position, we have Great Purification set, a discard to negate, and a pop all monsters on our opponent's board after using Great Purification, a IP Masquerena into an SP, and a Allied Code Talker add Ignista negate by attributing our Dark Templar at Ignista. So we have 2 negates on our board and potentially 3 if they decide not to discard for Murakumo. So in short, we have a board wipe, 2 negates, 1 potential negate, 1 banish of IP into SP, or a summon back of a ritual, or a summon back of our Habakiri as it was summoned correctly on the Murakumo. So that is the entirety of this combo. Now, some finishing notes. A combo for this deck was... no, sorry, not right. A comment given to me on my Marincess short by Zach Diaz 6375 was they would add 3 Dominus Impulse and Ice Shade Igorine with Sortor Supreme Sovereign Cheng Ying. Cheng Ying can be banished as Cheng Ying summons itself. It gains 100 attack for every banished card and gives minus 100 to the opponent's monsters for every banished card. And when a card is banished, quick effect, it can banish 1 card from opponent's field and 1 card from the graveyard. An Ice Shade Ran Igorine can discard 1 other Ice Shade or Water monster, and a special summon itself and a Ice Shade token at level 3 and at level 3, and that can be a Synchro 10. So that does work in Marincess, as you can do that if you have some extra Marincess material or don't know what to do with a certain Marincess monster in your hand. You can do that and then go into something else and then go into a Supreme Sovereign for an extra board. The Dominuses you can put in, but I don't really know what I would replace them for, neither the Ran Igorines. So if you want to say something about that, go on ahead and say it in the comments. But yeah, that's the end for this video. Next week's video will be on a deck and guide for the One Piece TCG. If you would like a deck to be shown here, do tell me for Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'll see if I have the card. If I don't, I might make. They may be proxies, but as shown here, as shown with the deck profile in Adignista Mitsurugi, I will be making the proxies and then reading out the effects of the cards for that deck. So that's all from me, and I'll see y'all in the warp.